Okay guys, so we are going to be exploring the use of warm and cool colors in a painting. Before we start painting, we're going to be sketching out our subject matter. Subject matter refers to what our painting or artwork really focuses on or is about. So for this, we're going to be focusing on a tree, creating that as the focal point and just a very easy landscape in the background. So the first step for this project is really sketching out the tree. So for this step, you will need an eraser and a pencil. You will also need a thick or heavy sheet of 9x12 white paper. Now, if you're not using the paper provided by the school, then you're going to want to make sure whatever you're using is nice and thick. Anything that's really thin isn't going to hold up super well to watercolors, so make sure you're using nice thick paper for this assignment. Okay, so we're going to start at the bottom of our page, the very, 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 very bottom of our paper. We're going to draw nice and wide. We're going to start our tree and we're going to lightly sketch it. Now, when I do this, I'm going to start a gentle curve, and I am going to start this so that it's about in the middle of the paper. So you can see I'm adjusting my placement, and our tree will get thinner as it goes up. If you look at most trees in real life, you can usually see that as they continue to grow taller, they thin out towards the top, and of course they're going to have branches. So I'm lightly sketching this, planning it out. I'm not drawing one dark line. I'm doing a variety of small lines, kind of gauging where I want this to be, how wide I want it to be, how tall I want it to be. And once I'm happy with that, then I'm going to move on to the next step of the drawing. So let's talk about what the next step is going to be. So on my paper, I've come up, this is about halfway up. So I've stopped at about halfway on my paper. And now what I'm going to begin to do is add on those branches. So I am going to do a gentle curve out. And I like to wave my branches. If you want to keep them more straight, that's fine. And I'm going to do one on the other side. I'm going to make it a little bit higher so that they're not in exactly the same spot. And then these branches, you absolutely want them to go off the page. That's going to be important for this assignment. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do here is, if I'm paying attention to my trunk and I'm coming up from where this one started, I'm coming a little bit in, because remember, my tree is going to get more narrow as it continues to grow up. And then essentially what I'm doing is I am following or tracing along with the line I already put in, but as I go, I'm going to make it more narrow, okay? I'm also going to come over here and I am going to add in a curved V shape. So as I bring this out and up, this is going to curve out to make a branch. And I'm going to come back here and adjust this so that it gets more narrow. I don't want it so wide. Okay, I'm going to do something similar over here. So I'm going to start by drawing on that V shape here. And then bringing it down. Just remember, our branches get thinner as they go towards the edges of the paper. And on this one, I'm going to pop another V in here. So you can begin to add in as many V's as makes you happy. So you're thinking about what you want as the artist here, okay? So I'm gonna come up and I might even add another V in here. So let me sketch out what this might look like. And one of the standards in art talks about refining our work. So you'll notice that when I make artwork or I do videos for you, I'm often sketching things out and then I go back in and refine it. So a lot of times you'll see that it doesn't look exactly the same as how it did when it started out. And that's very normal and encouraged. You should be making adjustments to your work as you're seeing things need to be changed or adjusted. Okay, so I'm going to come back over to this side and draw in a little more of the trunk coming up. Getting more narrow as it goes. And I would like to come back in here and I'm going to add a branch that's coming up from this side. And maybe putting the V in right about here to guide my next branch from there. And see, you can see it's almost like another little tree that I've started on there. And of course I will go back in once I get closer to being done with this, and I will make adjustments by defining the lines more clearly, erasing lines that I no longer want, but I'm going to wait until I'm really sure of what it is I want on my paper. Okay, so continue to think about those V shapes. Your branches should be coming up and out. Most branches, if you look at them on most trees, come up and out. They don't typically hang down. So you want to avoid branches coming down and continue to focus on your branches coming up and out, reaching towards the sky. Okay. And of course you can add on as many branches as you want. I'm just going to continue to draw here and I'll show you what it looks like when it finishes. So I'm going to come up and out here, and it's perfectly fine to draw over a line that you've already put, so don't worry about that. I'm going to draw a V here, or at least part of one. I'm going to do a line coming off of here. And again, your tree does not have to be identical to mine, but what I do want you to focus on is adding lots of branches. We're going to want lots of beautiful spaces like this. These are called negative space. We're going to want lots of negative space in those branches. And I'll show you why when we move on to the next step. So make sure that you're getting lots of those negative spaces put in. Make sure your branches are coming up and out, that you're kind of using that Y or V shape in there, and that as the branches come out towards the sides of the paper, they're getting thinner, okay? So it doesn't have to be identical to mine, but do think about those things as you're working. And in fact, I don't encourage it to be identical. Do make sure that the branches reach the whole way to the edge of the paper. That's also important for this assignment. Okay, so to finish kind of like the top of my tree out here, I'm just going to put essentially in a V. So I have a branch here, one here that I've started on. I'm going to come back in and put in that V shape. I'm going to bring another branch off of there. So now what I'm going to start to do is I'm going to go back in here and start kind of refining my lines so I know really where I want things. And then I may add some more branches as I go, things like that. But I will try to give you a nice shot of what this looks like when it's done. as far as defining the lines and finishing off the branches. So if you want to look at mine while you're drawing, you can. As a beginning artist, I do encourage you to look at what I've done, work from it, and make adjustments as you go. So you've seen the drawing process, how we start from the bottom. We're coming up with a gradual curve. It's getting thinner as it moves towards the top. And then we begin to branch off with our branches. We're branching off with our branches. We're looking at the Y and V shapes that are created to put those branches on, looking at how they go the full way to the end of the paper and to the top of the paper, making sure we have lots of nice negative spaces. These are these big empty spaces here. And I'll show you what this looks like when it's done, but these are the things you really need to focus on for this assignment, okay?